Hi, this is Rachel, and I wanted to talk about an idea. I have a friend named Aaron, and he is an INFJ, and he has an INFJ group. Now, he has introduced me to other INFJs that keep in contact, or we talk about, what's going on in our life and or issues, and bounce off support. So anyway, what I'm going to say may upset people, and I'm sorry. And what I'm going to say is just the extremes. Now, I think most people are in between active and passive INFJ. And this might be the first place you're going to hear about this, because I've never heard this topic before. And this is kind of like a study where we're just kind of finding things out. But what I'm going to have to say may not be in a way that Aaron would say it and or agree. But it is something that was brought up. Active versus passive INFJs. And if you want to be part of Aaron's group, you can contact me through my email, which is in the description below. Or, try to get a hold of other people who can get in contact with him. Like, there's a channel called Rejoice, REJOYCE. She's in contact with him as well. These are things to consider. These are extremes. So please do not be offended. So I wrote notes, and this is my opinion from things that I've seen. Now, Aaron and I talked about the term active INFJ and the term passive INFJ. But he did not say these things. I am. So, an active INFJ will have self-awareness. So this is somebody who is going to research things that they can work on, and or reach out and look into the way that other INFJs or the way that other people perceive them, and or how they can relate. So relating would be like, well, this group of people or people like me experience this. And part of self-awareness is taking what you can use and leaving the rest. What works for you, and leave the rest. So self-awareness has a lot to do with searching out ways to learn about yourself. And since we're all human, there's a lot of us that have things in common, and we can learn about ourselves in that way. A passive INFJ is in self-denial. So they may not be looking into, well, these are things I experience and these are things I think. They may not be looking into, if somebody tells them, hey, you're crazy, and if they're not looking into reasons that validate by reaching out to other people and seeing if they have the same things, then they might be in self-denial. If they're listening to the person that says they're crazy, that's a type of self-denial. Self-denial could be you don't accept your own gifts, like your intuition and or creativity. So there could be a lot of self-denial. An active INFJ is confident in their differences. So the contrast between who they are versus the world, they're still confident in being who they are and experiencing that to the fullest. Where a passive INFJ is insecure in their differences. So they're going to be more like withdrawn and or following the crowd because INFJs are not an exception to following the crowd. You know, if they're passive or they're not self-aware, it's easier to do that than put up with all the stress, especially if you're taking on energy. The active INFJ works on their shadow self. So they're going to look at the places they're not looking at. Your shadow is where you're not looking. And where you need to work on yourself is where you're not looking. It's where you're only going to look when something comes up or when it's enough of a pain and annoyance to have to do something about it. You know, people treat their shadow like a squeaky wheel, and when it doesn't usually say anything until things get bad. The passive INFJ is going to ignore their dark side. A passive INFJ is only going to see certain things about themselves, and even somebody who only sees a good thing about themselves is still passive. They're not doing anything about it. The active INFJ works on their lower functions. So it's not just I'm an INFJ. It's an I am an INFJ that can explore other personality traits and work on getting those stronger as well. Just because we are something doesn't mean we can't become stronger in other areas. This is no different than playing one-player game and doing the same thing. So, you know, on a video game, an active INFJ is open-minded to other people. So an active INFJ is still going to be around and still handle and cope with people who do not have their personality type, people who are not spiritual, people who are drama, you know, people that have completely different way of doing things or structure. Passive INFJs are closed-minded to others. So they're going to be like, you know what? It doesn't matter the good things about them. It doesn't matter what I can get in this situation. I'm not going to be around them because they're drama. I'm not going to be around them because they don't think the same way I do. I'm not going to be around them because they're not spiritual. I'm not going to be around them because they know all the trivia in the world. I'm not going to be around them because they wear $500 shoes and they want to talk about it all day. A passive INFJ is going to be closed off to other people. An active INFJ will have the willingness to be vulnerable. So they're going to wear their heart on the sleeve. They're not going to have a poker face. They're going to say whatever is authentic and true to how they feel or think. They're not going to be concerned about wearing $5 shoes around a bunch of people who have $500 shoes. They're going to be willing to be vulnerable. They'll have less to hide. A passive INFJ, now this is hard to say because we're all chameleons, but I'm talking the extreme. I'm not talking about you know, fitting in with our environment or, you know, being in a place where we have to follow certain rules. I mean a chameleon as if they're not willing to be vulnerable. So chameleon with vulnerability is putting masks up, not saying how you truly feel, not being authentic to yourself. Chameleon is poker face, masks, withholding information about how you feel and think, being very distant. An active INFJ accepts other people where they're at. So they don't have to be as spiritual. They don't have to accept the idea of intuition. They don't have to, you know, want to be introverted or anything like that. They're going to accept that people can be immature. They're just going to accept where people are at. A passive INFJ will put down other people. So they're not going to accept where they're at. They're going to say that other INFJs or other people are fake. They're going to say a passive INFJ can be arrogant and think that they're better than everybody. A passive INFJ could put down other people by being arrogant or saying their poor behavior, the bad behaviors, the negative behaviors, which is negative and poor, period. You know, it's almost universal. It's not you're acting out and defending yourself. It's still bad behavior. Whether you're in the right, you have the right to be upset or not, it's still bad behavior. So anyway, they can put people down this way. Active INFJ compares themselves to themselves. So an active INFJ is going to be like, this is the way I am today. Now tomorrow I'm going to be 1% better. Tomorrow I'm going to challenge myself not to withdraw or isolate or hide. Whatever the issue is, tomorrow, you know, I'm going to practice being more extroverted. They're going to compare themselves to themselves. A passive INFJ will compare themselves to others. Like, you know, all these people can handle crowds. All these fake people can get along. They're not sensitive. You know, I should be all these things that they are. They're going to compare themselves to other people. Whether they think they should conform to other people and or do, or they might compare themselves and be like, you know what, I'm just going to step back and hide. They're still comparing themselves to other people. So an active INFJ will go out in the world and show them their gifts. They have something to share. An active INFJ will share their gifts to the world by writing books, blogs, websites, videos, art, songs, dance, and or share their NI by being a psychic or a life coach or something, and helps the world with their gifts by starting with what's close, like family and so on. A passive INFJ will keep their gifts to themselves. They'll be self-absorbed. They won't get out of their comfort zone. Active INFJ will use their creative outlet to the world. So whatever that is. A passive INFJ will not let their creative outlet go beyond themselves. They won't share it. So anyway, if anyone has any ideas, agrees or disagrees, you're welcome to comment. Gives a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm okay with everybody's opinion, whether it's good or not, because I'm confident in myself and I'm an active INFJ. And if you want support in a group of active INFJs, you can contact me and I can put you in touch with Aaron, because Aaron's the one who's the kingpin. He's the kingpin of the group. So anyway, thank you very much and I appreciate you listening.